I don't think I really knew what I was doing when I started the process of being sucked under, is how I would describe it. I mean, I was young at the time, about 13. I'd just become very aware of my body. I didn't think I was overweight, but I wanted everything to stay the same, and so I'd check myself quite regularly. Things at home and at school had kind of started to break down, and I guess I needed something I could control. I started making lists of everything I was doing and eating with the focus on what I was eating. It was all about having lists, checking boxes, logging everything I'd eaten that day, so if I was ever anxious about what I'd eaten the day before, I could have something to refer to. I would calorie count too. At that time, if you named a food, I could guarantee I'd be able to tell you exactly how many calories are in it. I was completely obsessed. It was like an addiction of restriction. It didn't seem strange to me either. I actually quite enjoyed the whole order and process of everything. It was satisfying something inside of me. I needed that control. I'd look back on what I'd eaten yesterday and think, okay, well, what can I do to reduce that today? And then I'd do that every few days, and also I'd wake up and think, okay, how long can I leave it before I actually eat something today? No one knew I was doing this. This was just a conversation I was having with myself. Things started to get a bit worse when I started using tactics to disguise how much I was eating. I would often cook for my family to give the impression I was around food, but I would hide it and lie about what I'd eaten. I'd wear lots of baggy clothes too. I didn't think at the time that I was hurting myself. I mean, I certainly didn't think I had... I mean, that's what women get, you know. Apparently, 10% of all eating disorders that are diagnosed are men, but I actually think it's a lot more than that. I think that many fly under the radar because of the stigmas attached. Yeah, things got a lot worse. I became very ill and very weak, so much so that I couldn't really do much. I was spending all my afternoons in bed, asleep. I didn't really have a word for what it was. It still kind of seems strange to me, anorexia. What I was going through, just now I know of the word, it doesn't quite fit to what I was... Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was so weak that I collapsed, and that's when I was taken to hospital, and from there I was sectioned and I was moved to a psych ward. It was horrible. I was force-fed through a feeding tube. I started self-harming, purely as a way of just sort of having this kind of emotional release. I needed some sort of energy boost, and that, to me, was the only way I could do that. After being on the feeding tube for a while, I was putting on weight, but I was morbidly depressed. I was on constant one-to-ones, so I had no privacy at all. I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. I did have thoughts about committing suicide, but I didn't think that I could go through with it. I was ashamed for being so selfish, but at the same time I felt like a coward. This went on for over a year in hospital, and It got to the point where I just stopped looking after myself completely, stopped cleaning, and strangely, that I didn't want to be in that position anymore, and I was desperate to get out, that I started putting calories in, and that was the turning point. And then not long after that, I was able to go home. Men wait twice as long to get help for eating disorders than women. I don't think I would have got help if my body hadn't forced my hand. But I'm also very lucky, because once I was released, I had a secure group of friends around me, and we'd go out for lots of meals and drinks and things, and because of them, I was able to make a full recovery, and for that I am very grateful. You know, I'm in my 20s now, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I have control in a very different kind of way, one that I'm happy with.